Hey voters, this is Emily with Live, Laugh, Legislate New York, and this is our recap of last week's news here in New York State. New York State Attorney General and Black Girl magician Tish James is attempting to legally swirly the NRA and dissolve it out of existence. How can she do this? Stay tuned. In a 164-page report, Tish James in the New York State Attorney General's office accuses 4 of the NRA's top brass of stealing money for personal gain. So trips to the Bahamas, which apparently were not utilized to make sure that Americans during their vacation in a country with so many Black people could open carry, just purely for their own enjoyment. Their clothes, their millions of dollars in hair and makeup and private jet flights had nothing to do with the actual lobbying of Congress or ignoring mass shootings in this country. Now, surprisingly, throughout all of this, the NRA's board of directors is sticking behind Wayne LaPierre and the other 3 individuals who have taken over $64 million from this organization, which honestly, at this point in time, you would assume that Wayne LaPierre must secretly be a gun for them to irrationally support him in this way. So why can New York State bring a lawsuit like this? Even though the organization is headquartered in Virginia, when it was founded 148 years ago, it was actually chartered in the state of New York. Never thought that would come back to bite them in this way. This was back when the National Rifle Association was more about teaching people how to shoot because they were so appalled at the Union soldiers' performance during the Civil War. Spoiler alert, it still worked out, but it was bad. I do believe there's a special place in hell for people who serve on nonprofit boards or serve in their leadership that decide to take money from an organization. They're coming for you, Steve Bannon. New York State has actually already done this before with another foundation. The Trump Foundation was dissolved because it never did anything that was even slightly in the realm of its own mission. So in case you do decide to get into the nonprofit industry or work, maybe decide to white collar crime cheat in other fields because you'll probably be less likely to get caught. People don't like when you say you're going to help other people and then take the money for yourself. Go figure. In New York State COVID-19 news, gyms can now open up as of August 24th, and many people are very excited and very terrified at this prospect. If you're one of those psychopaths like me that enjoy your time at the gym, get ready to hit a personal record as soon as you're able to take the mask off at the gym, because you're about to get the lung capacity of a New Mexican MMA fighter. Or you're about ready to pass out on an elliptical machine. It seems a little strange that gyms are able to open up at 33% capacity, but other industries such as movie theaters that don't involve you breathing heavy or sweating, unless you're me in a horror movie, have not been given the green light. Just saying, when I would go to the gym in the past, people had a hard enough time wiping down their area when there wasn't this global pandemic, so I'm just hoping that those individuals who are walking ringworm vectors decide to stay home. So the movie theater industry is feeling a little bit scorned by Governor Cuomo, as are musicians, which is a big part of the number of individuals who decide to move to New York State. Right now, the State Liquor Authority says that an individual business can have live music, but they cannot sell tickets or advertise that music. So instead of being at a place where we could sell tickets and know exactly how many people would be attending, all of the music has to be incidental. So if you had any doubt left that we were in hell in the year 2020, all music is now mandated in New York State to be elevator music. So Governor Andrew Cuomo, in other COVID news, has just signed 3 bills into law that's going to make absentee voting much, much easier. So of the 3 bills, which I will not name because it's a slew of letters, but I'll put a link in the description down below should you want to read the full text, will make it easier for New Yorkers to vote absentee, and you can actually request your absentee ballot as of yesterday. My fellow patriots, let me just suggest that should you decide to vote absentee in the state of New York, please request your ballots today. That way, you can send it in sooner and it will be counted. So please, 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 the more we stagger this out, the more likely that we'll have a timely election. In state budget news, if you are tangentially paying attention to New York State politics, you know that we are trying to climb out of a budgetary hole. And we're trying to before COVID. However, the New York State Division of Budget just released a statement saying they expect a $13.3 billion shortfall because of COVID this year. This means that New York State, in the absence of federal assistance, is going to need to drastically cut its spending, which the state plans to do in the amount of $7.3 billion over the next year. Now, for those of you keeping track, Jeff Bezos is worth $196 billion, so if he were literally made of money, New York State would need something like, for its budget cuts next year, to not have to make those, like his spleen or pinky toe, pituitary gland, something of that nature. Or maybe like part of his eye, so he could be like a cool Bond villain. In other budgetary news, New York City, Rochester, New York, and Buffalo, New York were 3 cities of the top 5 in the nation of 150 studies that are predicted to lose the most money because of coronavirus. A lot of this has to do with how the state actually receives its funding. Rochester and Buffalo, New York depend heavily on funding from New York State. In the absence of federal help, Rochester, Buffalo, New York City, and the entire state are going to face some tough budgetary decisions in the years ahead. So, thankfully, there's no bean company that has made any kind of gaffe recently that would keep you from buying a lot of those at this point in time. So, stock up on your beans. Goya, tiene que ser clasista. So tell me, do you plan to vote in person? Do you plan to vote absentee? Do you know if you're registered? Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to try and answer them as well. Thanks so much for watching, and check out the link for the description for your absentee ballot and also for my sources for this weekly update. Have a good one.